now I'm getting a lot of these really interesting independent commissions, and a lot of them have to do with more architecture, right? And so I'm now starting to put more of that into my art.
All right, so let's go to a watch that's maybe a little bit different. It's not from Rolex and Tudor, it's actually an AP.
Yeah.
It's the AP Al, I think they call it. The
Yeah,
AP
yeah.
Rolex.
So after the 5402 came out, this is the first time they put a complication into the Royal Oak. I've always liked it, but I've never been able to afford it right back then, and also I felt like it's something that I have to deserve, right? Like I didn't feel like I'm at that level of watch collecting where I deserve to have this kind of a piece. So one day I was in LA, so I went to go visit a friend of mine. His name is Curtis, and so he's the founder of Gray and Patina, this really cool watch collecting or gray market dealer. He is actually one of the first, I think he actually is the first person that ever reached out to me about my art. Like he was a big channel, like big Instagram account, and I was following him for a long time. And when I was drawing watches on paper, he reached out to me. He's like, "Oh, do you sell this stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I don't sell it, but I want to make some posters or something like that." And he's like, "Oh, let me know like if you ever do that." And then so he inspired me and he pushed me by reaching out to me, encouraging me, right, to make art and sell it. And I did. So I made a poster. He bought a bunch of them, just to like give us gifts to his clients. And then he reached out to me, and then we did a collaboration. So I painted in watercolor all the different variations of the GMT Coronet, right? And so we did a limited edition print, and then we sold it, and then we gave all the money to charity, right? And so he's been a supporter of mine, like before I was even like anything, right? So I went to go visit him, and he knew I had that, so I was wearing that when I went to visit him. And the first thing he was like, "Oh, let me see the GMT." And then we traded watches. So he let me borrow this one, right? So I wore this, he wore that, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is the first time I saw an owl in real life," right? And I put it on, and I was like, "This is like perfect. This is like an amazing size." Because the jumbo for me is a little bit too big, and it kind of flares out, and I have this gap on my wrist. So I put it on, and I was like, "Oh man, this is so nice." And then I'm like, "Oh," in my head, I'm like, "Oh, that if I felt worthy enough, right, to buy this watch, it ticks a lot of boxes already. It's from Gray and Patina. I always wanted to have something that commemorates that relationship that I have with him. And then it's the owl. It's my favorite Royal Oak of all time. It fits perfectly. It's unpolished, right? From a collector's perspective, that's huge. And then finally he was like, "Oh, and it's from 1986." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's my birth year." I was like, "Oh, that's ugh."
You have to buy it.
But I honestly, I was like, "No, I can't buy something this, like, it's just, I'm not ready for it," right? When I was in kind of like this quiet time, this kind of voice in my head again, it almost felt like it was God telling me like, "Gabe, go get the watch. Get the watch because I want you to remember, how far you've come and how far I've brought you, right? From drawing watches out of paper, right? And like doing stuff with Curtis, to getting into different media, like interviews and magazines, to making art for, one of your favorite rappers in the world, right? Like, look how far you've come. You deserve that watch, right? And so whenever I wear this watch, it reminds me of, how much he's done for me and how he's brought me beyond my own self, like, limitation and capabilities. And also all the people that, really supported me, like all the followers that follow me, it's just incredible. Like, I never thought that I could be in this kind of, this space in this place, right? And so that's why this one is super meaningful to me as well.
So is this more like your dressier piece compared to
No,
the
no,
other one?
definitely not. I wear this with like a white t-shirt. I wore it like this. So I'm like very basic. I just wear like black, white, true artist style.
Yeah,
Right.
the artist uniform.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think this is definitely very cool. I think it's like a piece from the 80s or the 90s, right?
Yeah,
I agree with you in terms of like the Rolex sizes, right? I think
Yeah.
because of the case shape, they always tend to wear a little bit larger.
Yeah.
So for me, the 36 is the perfect size for the Rolex.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
me too. Just it fits perfect. Like I don't know if I can get anything else that fits me better for AP. Right.
Yeah. So AP needs to make more 36
Yeah.
Rolex.
Yeah, definitely.
Lastly, that watch over there must be your most recent purchase because I also know that watch is
Yeah.
a very recent release.
Yes. Right. So this this watch is a two-door Black Bay. I think this is like the best two-door that's ever made. Right, the Black Bay at least. Right, because it's such a great size. So this one's also 36 millimeters. Right, it's so thin. Right, if you compare it to the original Black Bay, right, like this is thick, and this is like really slim. Right, almost as thin as like the old GMT, like 1675. Right, so they did such a good job, like just trimming it down and just reflecting, the original sub, like small crown sub size, right? So I thought like just aesthetically and as a watch, it looks perfect. But the special thing is this is the armory stamp dial, right? And so this is really significant to me because Mark Cho and the Armory have been such a big part of my art journey. He's just been such an incredible friend to me as well, right? And so, like the first time I met him, he commissioned 2 pieces of art for me to sell with his collection with Philips, right? And so since then, I met up with him, and then we just hung out and we just clicked, right? And so I always reach out to him, and he reaches out to me, and then we hang out, and we always bounce ideas off each other. So, I really look up to him, and he's given me so much good advice, but also he's been so generous with his time and his network and his opportunities, right? So, like in 2023, he curated this huge arcade of stores, and he did a grand opening, and he invited me to show my art there, and I was like, look, I don't have to do that because it's supposed to be, your show. I don't want to steal anything, even if I'm like a small potato and I steal a little bit of thunder. I think it's you, right, that should be shining. And he's like, no, show it. I want you to show your artwork at the grand opening. And I was so thankful for him just being so generous with that. And it was amazing. Like, it was probably one of the biggest highlights of my art journey because it was such a great event. It was a huge party. There was a big turnout. And then even Philips did a live auction of 2 of my clocks that night, and it was so cool, right? And so, this reminds me of that friendship that I have with Mark and the Armory. And so all these watches are extremely meaningful to me and very personal.
Yeah, I think most of these watches commemorate your relationship with somebody important.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, absolutely.
Are you gonna pop off the bezel of that one anytime
No,
soon?
no, I don't think I'm gonna pop that one off. Yeah.
So you also brought a few pieces of art to
Yeah,
show us
yeah.
today. Incredible pieces.
Yeah,
I mean,
these are
I would
pretty fun.
love to own every single one of these watches.
Oh,
really.
same.
Yeah.
I would love to own. These are like, I don't know, maybe one day, but I love making these pieces. I think they're just so cool. And I think the cool thing is like, now I'm getting a lot of these really interesting independent commissions. And a lot of them have to do with more architecture, right? And so I'm now starting to put more of that into my art, right? Like this is the earwork, right? And the hand is very elevated. So I'm starting to do more fine, cutting and paper work to create more texture, more depth, right? And more layers, right? To just make it more fun.
don't think that when you look at Gabe's art, it's like a child drawing it, but like when you really look into the details, right? You draw, all the gears and all the
yeah, exactly.
all the balance wheels,
exactly.
like even the free-swung balance wheel, you can like draw.
Exactly. So
the different screws
I try to
around
draw everything in the same diameter as the real watch, right? So then you get a real feeling of how it would look, right? Because a lot of these watches, they're kind of like Grail watches, so I can't really see them in real life. So I find the dimensions of them and the specifications. I study that, right? And so I try to make everything as detailed as possible to respect the design, to respect the watchmakers, right? And to show that I'm passionate about this stuff.
So these watches all represent like I would say the more contemporary independent masters, right? Is there a story behind this collection of art pieces?
So this one is a commission piece that I'm still building right now, and it is a collection of all the independents, right? And so this is made just because these are watches that are kind of Grail watches for that person.
Oh, that's really cool. I look forward to seeing that piece of art then.
Yeah,
when you've completed all of it.
Yeah.
Gabe, thank you for chatting with us today, and thank you for showing us your
my
watches
pleasure.
and also your art.
It's my honor, man. No, thank you so much, guys.